Yeah, I mean, just come to Australia. Just come and do all of your Bitcoin mining in Australia.
There you go.
You'll be safe here.
Yeah.
Put them on the backs of kangaroos and hop away.
That's it. I told you when I come out there, I'm going to get a saddle on a kangaroo. We're going to ride that thing for sure.
Yep, and Daisy too. Daisy's going to be riding that kangaroo as well, right next to us.
She's going to be on a koala.
BitSwap is the hottest new way to trade tokens. Crawling all the top decentralized exchanges, BitSwap will get you the very best price and value for your trades. BitSwap is changing the game. Try it now at bitswapdex.com. Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, the largest crypto channel in all the interwebs. My name is Ben. Every day on this channel, I show you how to make money in crypto. If you like money in crypto, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Guys, today, it's time for Wrapped Weekly, where I sit down with Ellie Gonzalez to discuss all of the happenings from the week from a beginner's perspective, so you guys can get a little more understanding of what's happening, especially if you're newer. If you know any beginners to crypto, these are some of the best videos every Saturday that you can show to them or share with your friends. Today, we're going to be discussing a lot going on with Cardano and other projects, but in the beginning, we're going to get into the absolute worst coins to add to your portfolio. So let's go ahead and jump into the interview.
Hey, everybody. As always, I'm joined this week with Ellie Gonzalez, Instagram model. You guys can get her links down below. Also known as a crypto expert these days. And we're going to discuss what happened this week. There's a lot that went on in the markets, obviously. So, Ellie, how are you doing today?
I'm good. It's actually been a really interesting week watching and learning about all of this, because obviously, you know, I'm still relatively new to crypto. So it's just been crazy to see what's been happening over the last 2 weeks. It's been the worst 2 weeks of crypto since I started, you know, learning more about it and becoming an expert, thanks to you. But let's start with this week's top losers, as we always start with the top gainers. I thought, why not? Let's start with the top losers this week. And it's so funny because last week's top gainers was number one was Shiba, and this week's top losers is Shiba. So what did we say last week? It'd be interesting to see it next week. Yeah. We're here. It's down 53.52%.
Yeah, this week people just hate dogs. I mean, that's just what it boils down to. People hate dogs. I'm upset about it. A lot of people lost money. Yeah, rude. They loved dogs last week, but this week they don't. But in all seriousness, I mean, it just boils down to the fact that these meme coins, they don't really have a lot of value outside of what people agree they have. They don't have any kind of like utility, no usage. Shiba's not trying to become the currency of the United States. It's not trying to replace the reserve currency. It's not trying to build a platform. And so what happens is some people kind of like getting to this moment where they say, what in the world did I put all this money in? And you have a lot of the people at the top that know, and by people at the top, I mean the biggest holders, the ones who started this coin, the people that got in very early, they know when to sell and they can see the market sentiment turning. And so what you're going to see is, for the most part, even though we haven't seen this with Dogecoin yet, and I've talked about before how there is some usage, some use case for Dogecoin, just a little, but much more than Shiba, is that when the market starts dumping and people start panic selling, they're going to sell the coins that have no real value first. And I think that's what we saw last week.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was followed by Internet Computer, Horizon, Bitcoin SV. I think we spoke about Bitcoin SV like weeks and weeks and weeks ago. Just to refresh my memory what Bitcoin SV is and roughly does, because it's up there. It's just not coming back to me today.
So basically you have Bitcoin, right? But what happened is there was a big disagreement on how to manage the block size of Bitcoin transactions. Okay. So if you remember, Bitcoin started out to be electronic peer-to-peer digital currency. And then over time, it kind of transferred itself into digital gold. Well, there's still a large allotment of people that say that no, Bitcoin is peer-to-peer cash. That's what it must be. And so there was a group of people led by, Roger Ver. He wasn't actually the person that came up with the idea, but he was, an old school crypto guy that supported it. They decided they were going to fork the Bitcoin code to make the blocks bigger. With these bigger blocks, transactions would be faster on the Bitcoin network. But the traditional Bitcoin people said, we don't care about that. We don't think that's what the most important thing is. And so Bitcoin Cash forked and came off of Bitcoin to a new coin. Well, then the Bitcoin Cash people got into a big disagreement, and some people wanted even bigger blocks. And so they came up with this idea for another fork called Bitcoin SV. It stands for Bitcoin Satoshi's vision, because they really believe it's a vision of Satoshi to have these big blocks. Like, even though he didn't write it into the white paper, because it would make Bitcoin faster and would make it a currency. And it's led by, the face of it is Craig Wright. And he, for years, he started out on actually a TV show in Australia claiming this, that he is Satoshi and he created it. So he leads that Bitcoin SV. There's another guy, Calvin Ayre, that's another rich guy that supports it, another billionaire. But nobody in real life outside of the Bitcoin SV people believe that Craig Wright is Satoshi, and nobody outside of their little cult gives Bitcoin SV any credibility. It'll pump sometimes, just like anything else, just like Dogecoin. But there's no adoption coming with Bitcoin SV. It's not that much different than Shiba. Honestly, it's not that much.
Yeah.
different.
Okay.
A lot of the market cap for Bitcoin SV has been pumped up and fake. A lot of people know this. I mean, you've got billionaires in the background, I mean, I'm not accusing them of doing this, but we've seen things like wash trading or faking volume for other coins. So, a lot of people think that goes on with Bitcoin SV, and that's why it doesn't, it basically is worthless as Shiba in a lot of ways, because nobody actually thinks people are going to build on it or adopt it. Time's really passed, and it's fallen continually down CoinMarketCap. So once again, when people are betting on things strictly because they pump, or
you are so naughty. Yeah, okay, I'll let you join. So it was really interesting. It was really interesting what you were saying earlier about, Shiba not doing anything. It's not useful. We've been seeing a lot of these coins lately. People, introducing us to them, saying, hey, like, get involved or promote or whatever, and they don't actually do anything. So I think it's important for people who, especially on this beginning journey, not to buy into the hype of people who are creating these coins that don't really have or do much, and then their obvious kind of incentive to gaining popularity is to then sell them. But I think from what I've come from and what I've learned from you is, invest in the cryptocurrencies that really actually do something, that are useful, like Bitcoin or Ethereum, things that actually are useful in the crypto market. So it's really interesting that you say that, and really interesting that we see all of these things come up on the top losers this week, and it kind of just reiterates that fact. Hey, just buy into something that's useful. Don't buy into things that don't do anything. But obviously not financial advice. But in saying all of that, it's really not been a hot girl summer for crypto.
No, it hasn't.
It's not.
Not so far.
I was learning about the last 3 cycles of Bitcoin bull market through your channel, and it really seems as though this bear market is really premature in comparison of what the kind of activity that we've been seeing over the last sort of 2 weeks. Do you think this is really the beginning of the bear market, or it's sort of what we were anticipating in our earlier videos as well? We know it's kind of coming. We sort of know when from all of the last projections, but do you really think that this is the start of the bear market, or do you think this is kind of just a little bit of a low that it's got some shitty news over the last 2 weeks, but it's eventually just going to go straight back up?
Well, I mean, if you would have told me 3 weeks ago that we would have a 55% drop from the all-time high, I would have said, oh yeah, it looks like we're in a bear market. However, when you zoom out and you look at the events surrounding what happened with those gigantic Bitcoin inflows into exchanges, which for beginners, if you didn't know, when money flows into exchanges, that is bearish, meaning that prices will probably drop because people are moving coins to sell them. When they get removed from exchanges, Bitcoin outflows, that's bullish, because that means people are feeling safe enough to say, you know what? I'm not worried about trading this. I'm just going to remove it and put it off the exchange. And so what we saw this week is record amounts of inflows to do selling. And then we also saw a record amount of outflows once the dip occurred. So that means that it seems like there was a coordinated event to push the price down to buy more, to get more value for their money, and then they send it off the exchanges. I mean, we had one that was a $750 million move of Bitcoin off of exchanges right after the dip. So it's just one of those things. When you look at 2013, 2014, we did have a dip in the middle. And look, though here's the real truth. The real truth is, no matter what we're seeing right now is concerning. It is concerning. I can't come on here and tell you that, like, there's not a thought in the back of my mind that, like, what if this is the end of the bull run? But in my heart, I don't believe, and even in my brain, when I look at the events, personally, I do not believe that this is the end of the bull market, but it could be. And so I always want to give people that caution to understand that, you know, we've seen history before. We know what we think is going to happen, but it's not guaranteed. That's why you can't ever risk more than you can afford to lose. In crypto, that's what we tell people at all times. The other thing I would say is that when you look at the amount when you look at basically the 4 humps that we've had in this bull market so far, you know, in January, we hit an all-time high. We bounced down. At the end of February, we hit one. And then I believe in either the end of March or beginning of April, we hit a new one. That happened 4 times where we hit 4 new all-time highs. Okay. But each of those all-time highs was followed by a correction. And none of those corrections had gone over 30%. In the last bull run, all of the corrections were pretty much above 30%. So it could possibly be that kind of that suppression of the dips on the way down eventually led to a much bigger drop, if that makes sense. So the fact that we had smaller ones this time so far, I just thought it meant there was going to be less volatility to the downside, but it means maybe those smaller dips basically squeezed a much larger dip down, down the road, which is what we just saw. So we'll just have to see how it all plays out right now. I mean, I still don't have a total pulse on the market to be able to tell everybody exactly where it's going. I don't know at this point. I know what I hope, I know what I want, and I know what I fear, but we just got to see how it all shakes out.
I saw the market, I think it shrink about 27% after Elon raised concerns about all of the environmental impacts, which we talked about last week. And Bitcoin hit a low of 30K this week.
Yeah.
And that was, it climbed back up just as people invested, I think, like...
Yeah, hundreds of millions of dollars, probably overall billions of dollars. I mean, there was one, I think I saw somewhere where somebody bought 3,251 Bitcoin. I just saw was bought by the same address that sold at 58,000. So they sold at 58,000 and they bought back in at 3,200 Bitcoin at about 30,000. So tells you right there, people knew this was coming. There was some kind of coordination, and that's why I think that we are going to see it bounce back up. Now, it may take several weeks, maybe a couple months, maybe it happens tomorrow. I don't think it'll happen tomorrow, but hopefully it's not a long wait. I mean, because I like to see green candles. I don't know about you.
So yeah, I mean, it hit 30K, and then after that happened, it climbed back up just to under 40. And recently China renewed its regulatory crackdown on digital assets, and that kind of like led tokens into a bit of a meltdown and raised about $700 million in value. $700 billion in value. Yeah. What did China do exactly to crack down on the crypto market? Because I'm really confused as to what they're able to do that will affect the market that much.
Nothing really. I mean, we've seen this story for 4 years now. For 4 years, we've been seeing crypto in India, or China and India banning crypto. And when you talk to people that are in those parts of the world, they will tell you even themselves that it is laughable. So we know that China they have a blockchain consortium where they've got companies that are involved in that in order to, elevate blockchain because they want to compete in blockchain. Well, a lot of the projects that they help, they also have coins or tokens. So because of that, the only way they're going to be able to really compete in this market is with projects that do well on the markets. So for them to say that they're going to ban crypto, it's just the same stuff over and over again. I mean, we've seen India 4 times this year say they were going to ban crypto. You talk to people in India, they're like, "I don't affect my life. I buy crypto." People are now to the point where you can use VPNs. You know how to do stuff. But they can't ban Uniswap. They can't ban decentralized exchanges. There's nothing to ban. So when you see this kind of like these overarching power moves, it's very obvious that it's strictly for control and it's strictly to influence the market. It's kind of like there's a very famous meme of a gate. There's nothing around it. It's a sidewalk with a gate, but you can just step off on the grass and walk around it. And that's when the government bans crypto. That's why the United States is at least getting to a point where they understand, like, we can regulate it to some extent. We could make it illegal for Elon Musk to tweet about it if he thinks it's going to affect the price of a coin, but we can't prevent people from buying and selling it. What they can do, what these places can do, and we are seeing China do some of this, we are seeing them kind of crack down on some of the mining facilities. Now in China, there's no such thing as a private company. China owns everything. All they got to do is just tell you, hey, you are giving us your company and your company is theirs. So it happens in a communist country. So because of that, they can go take over all the mining facilities. And I've said for a long time, the most dangerous thing for Bitcoin is if China is able, from a centralized government perspective, take over all of their mining farms, put them all under the People's Republic of China, and China itself would own over 50% of the hash rate. And that's why it's so important that other countries such as the United States develop ways to mine Bitcoin and energy efficient methods so that we get more of the hash rate here. China has, I think, 60 to 70% of the overall hash rate for Bitcoin. The United States has 5.7%. That'll put that into perspective. So I'm hoping that this will be a catalyst for positive change to allow other countries to compete with China when it comes to the hash rate. So that this could be the power play by them, is trying to take over the hash rate.
Yeah, I mean, just come to Australia. Just come and do all of your Bitcoin mining in Australia.
There you go.
You'll be safe here.
Yeah.
Put them on the backs of kangaroos and hop away.
That's it. I told you when I come out there, I'm going to get a saddle on a kangaroo. We're going to ride that thing for sure.
Yep. And Daisy too. Daisy's going to be riding that kangaroo as well, right next to us.
She's going to be on a koala.
Oh, a bit slower. Okay, so let's move on to ADA.
Okay.
Cardano ADA just climbed and became the 4th most valuable token during the market's wider dip. The value dropped nearly 30% in the day following China's regulatory announcement. Did this gain like massive popularity because people were all of a sudden looking for environmentally friendly alternatives to Bitcoin?
I believe so. Yeah. I think Cardano has got some positive news coming. They got, an ERC token converter coming very soon. It's actually on its test net, which means it's being tested. That's all that means. And so that's big news. Now an ERC20 is an Ethereum token. So basically what this will allow is it will allow Ethereum tokens to come into the Cardano ecosystem very easily. So they've got that news coming. They also have smart contracts coming to their platform pretty soon. They're having new projects launching on Cardano launchpads. We were very close with CardStarter and Occam Finance, which are both Cardano launchpads that will be bringing new Cardano tokens into the market. These would be new crypto projects. In addition, the Elon Musk stuff definitely did not hurt when it came to looking at more energy efficient blockchains. And, Cardano itself said that they were interested in, talking to Tesla. They think there's a lot of, compatibility between the two. What we don't know is if Elon Musk is very serious about actually using a more energy efficient blockchain. So we don't really know where that factors in, but I would say definitely Cardano did get a boost from that. And, Cardano tends to be moving positively when everything else is moving negatively or sideways. So, this is kind of more par for the course for Cardano.
Yeah, and talking about Elon again, what's this diamond hands thing? that he keeps referring to on Twitter. I kept seeing it. I'm like, what the heck is it? Like, what does diamond hands mean?
Yeah. Okay, so basically what diamond hands means is that you're not going to sell. So the whole thing is like, if you imagine you have hands, Ellie, correct? There they are. Okay, yours are not quite as pretty as mine, but yours are okay. I will give you that. My manicure, I actually had a manicure a few weeks ago, so my fingers look terrible. I've
got rainbow pastel nails this week. You should love them.
Yeah.
Stop hating on my pastel.
It matches your shirt. How about that? It looks nice.
I know. Look at that.
So the thing is that you got hands. If you we make analogies in crypto, right? Or metaphors might be. I don't know exactly what the right term is, but we say we have bags, right? Like you've got bags of Cardano. Well, imagine the bags in your hand, and if you got paper hands, it's going to fall right through it. It's going to crash because you're going to sell it. When you got diamond hands, nothing can fall through them, meaning you're not going to sell. Now, diamond hands is a new phrase. This was created by the Wall Street Bets people on the stock market. In crypto, we've just always said like hands of steel or iron hands, but it all just means somebody that's strong enough to hold when the prices drop.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, very interesting.
Yeah. So that's what Elon was saying. That's what Elon is saying is even though they're going to stop accepting Bitcoin for Teslas, they are still going to keep their Bitcoin that they've accumulated and hold. So, that's why the whole thing was just kind of really stupid. Like they've probably taken between 10 and 20 Bitcoin altogether from actual Tesla sales, because anybody that owns Bitcoin, unless you have so much of it, you're a giant whale and it's, an individual coin means nothing to you. You're not going to buy a Tesla with Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly. That makes a lot of sense. Now, because we like to be positive here and see the opportunities in things, is this now like a really prime opportunity for people to get involved in crypto who are, beginners or sort of intermediate, whatever, who they're wanting to get involved, but they're intimidated by the price of Bitcoin or Ethereum? Do you think it's now that right moment for people to get involved in the market, or do you think it's going to dip a little bit and then start going back up, or what's your opinion on that?
It's definitely a better time than 3 weeks ago to get in. And the people that bought at 60K are really kicking themselves right now. But there's definitely a lot of good opportunity, in my opinion, right now to get in. However, like I said earlier, I'm not 100% sure which way it's going. Now, we'll never be 100% sure, so obviously we'd all be billionaires. But which direction I'm leaning, last week I would have told you I'm definitely leaning towards bounces and moving up and new all-time highs again soon. But now this is shaking the confidence a little bit on where we're going, because you got to analyze. You got to be able to stick and move and realize that the market can change on a dime. So right now, for newer people that are looking to get in, it is a better time to get in than a few weeks ago, but you also got to be getting in knowing that right now the market is unstable and it could drop further. And so be willing to buy at lower prices as well. So somebody that wants to jump in, if you can afford a Bitcoin today and you couldn't afford a Bitcoin a few weeks ago and you have money to do that, might be a good decision. Just go ahead and get one and lock it away. But the best move would be, if you're looking to get involved, get some now, leave some money behind for later.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the biggest thing to remember too, like from my own personal experience, like I didn't put my life savings into crypto. I did what was manageable, and it's a long-term investment to me. It's not, it's not something that I'm going on and I'm trading, or, I'm jumping, I'm not on there every single day, every hour, like looking at what's going on.
Right.
So this is really like a store of value for me. And, buying into crypto that is useful, and it's not like these ridiculous meme coins and stuff like that don't do anything. Right. So I think the biggest thing to remember here is like, if you are buying into this market, from my own personal experience, like it could go down a little bit, but hold it, because it will eventually go back up. Bitcoin is not going to sit at this value for the rest of its life. Like there's crazy projections. Yeah, so I think that's the biggest thing to remember, and that's from my own personal experience, like I keep saying. But yeah, like just hold it, sit there, hold it. Don't try and do anything crazy with it. Like that's This is just what I'm doing. And I see crypto as it's the future. Like, how can it not be the future? So yeah, I think that's like the biggest form of like advice that I have for myself this week. It's like, there's things that I want to buy and then sit on and not be like, oh, it's going down, it's shit, this market's terrible, I'm gonna have to sell it.
You're wise beyond your crypto years. That's what I'll tell you. You've got a very good outlook on the market, because that's really the way to look at it. I mean, we don't ever make panic sells, because generally when people are panic selling, that's when you are making the wrong move. Sometimes it works out, but most of the time when people get to a point where they're panicking, that's usually about the bottom. So we don't know if that's the bottom for sure. We just went through. But here we don't ever make, snap decisions on sell, sell, sell. We don't ever do that. And I think there's a lot of lessons people can learn from that. I think you've already got it. So Ellie, thank you so much for coming on today for Wrapped Weekly. Well, I love this show. People love it. People love you. I think this has been a really great way for people to, continue to see things from the eyes of someone that's newer in crypto, and then the eyes for someone who is not only in real life, but also older in crypto. So thanks for coming on. You got anything you want to leave us with today, Ellie?
Honestly, you're the best, and thank you for having a channel that I still continuously learn so much from every single week. It's friggin' awesome. I think you are very I love that you are optimistic and you are seeing opportunities and things, instead of being one of those channels that's like, everything's on fire. I love your outlook, and I love doing these videos with you every single week. And I think, there's so many people out there who are still learning from these, which is awesome. So, I'm looking forward to next week. Hopefully
it'll go. Yeah, hopefully we're not crying on the show. All right, guys, everybody. Once again, thank you to Ellie for joining us. If you guys have questions, or let us know what you guys think is going to happen in the future with Bitcoin, you guys can put that down below. And I want to know in the chat or in the comments, how many of you got wrecked by Shiba? Make sure to drop that down below as well. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. That's all we got. Be blessed. BitBoy out.